Shri Gurubhyo Namaha children. We welcome you to our online teaching academy Ekalaiva. In our lesson consumption analysis, yesterday we discussed about demand. Today we are going to discuss about ordinal analysis. Ordinal analysis is otherwise called ordinal utility approach, Hicks and Allen approach, or indifference curve analysis. So utility cannot be measured, but it can be compared or ranked. We can give rank first, second, third like that. Edgeworth, he was an English economist, and Wilfredo Pareto, Italian economist, criticized the ordinal utility approach. They assumed that utility cannot be measured absolutely but can be compared or ranked or ordered by ordinal numbers such as 1, 2, 3 and so on. Edgeworth first developed a more scientific approach to the study of consumer behavior known as indifference curve approach, and Wilfred Pareto modified the Edgeworth approach, and again J.R. Hicks and R.G.D. Allen refined the indifference curve approach in the year 1934. Later in 1939, J.R. Hicks in his book Value and Capital gave a final shape to this indifference curve analysis. Now, this theory is based on scale of preference. So, what is meant by scale of preference? If we take a rational consumer, intelligent consumer usually prefers the combination of goods which gives him maximum level of satisfaction. So, he will decide to purchase any two combination of goods through which he will attain maximum level of satisfaction. So, an arrangement of combination of goods in the order of level of satisfaction is called the scale of preference. Now, the assumptions of this theory is the consumer is rational and its aim is to derive maximum satisfaction, and it cannot be cardinally measured, it can be ranked only, and this indifference curve approach is based on the concept diminishing marginal rate of substitution. And here the fourth assumption is the consumer is consistent here. Now, what is meant by indifference schedule? So, it may be defined as schedule of various combinations. So, various combination, the consumer decided to buy two commodities which will give him the same level of satisfaction. So, in other words, we can say that it is a table which shows the different combination of two goods that gives equal satisfaction to the consumer. Now, here we can see three combinations of two commodities, that is apple and orange. Each of these combinations give the consumer the same level of satisfaction without any discrimination. So, this schedule is called indifference schedule. So, he chooses the combination either 1 apple or 20 orange. So, that point is marked as A here, and 2 apples and 15 oranges, which denoted as S here, and 3 and 12 as is denoted as T here. So, we discussed about different combinations in the previous slide. Here different combinations of two commodities. It is found in difference curve. So the same is marked in graphical representation, and here an indifference curve is the locus of all combinations of commodities from which the consumer derives the same level of satisfaction. So the other name for this curve is iso-utility curve or equal satisfaction curve. So here x-axis represents apple and y-axis represents orange. So point R represents combination of one apple and 20 oranges, and here at S 2 apples and 15 oranges, and at T 3 apples and 12 oranges, and U 4 apples and 10 oranges, and at last V 5 apples and 9 oranges. So these are all the various combinations the consumer has decided to buy. So this is the curve we got. If we join all these points, we get a curve that is called indifference curve. So consumer derives the same level of satisfaction either he buys apple or orange. Now indifference map. Now here you can see different three curves. So all these are indifference curves, that is indifference curve 1, indifference curve 2, indifference curve 3. So the customer can plan the combination of different commodities and we can derive many indifference curves. So the group of this indifference curve is called an indifference map. So an indifference map is a family or collection or set of indifference curves corresponding to different levels of satisfaction. Now marginal rate of substitution. The shape of an indifference curve provides useful information about preferences. Indifference curve replaces the concept of marginal utility with the concept of the marginal rate of substitution. So according to Leftwich, the marginal rate of substitution of x for y, that is MRX xy, here we can take x as apple and y as orange, is defined as the maximum amount of y the consumer is willing to give up. So for example, if the consumer wants to buy more apple, then he has to give up the purchase of oranges and vice versa. So he has to give up for getting an additional unit of x, and still he'll remain on the same indifference curve. Since y decrease as x increases or x decrease as y increases, the change in y is negative. So the equation is MRSXY equal to change in y by change in x. And however, as with price elasticity of demand, the convention is we can ignore the minus sign, but it is not given there. So MRSXY equal to change in y by change in x. Okay children, today we discussed about indifference curve analysis. To receive our online lessons, please press the subscribe button and you will receive the latest updates. Thank you, children.